The fight of the century, depending on who you ask, is Saturday night. And that is Floyd Mayweather, 49-0, the boxer, against right now the face of the UFC, the face of mixed martial arts right now, Conor McGregor. It's a boxing match. It's not a UFC fight. That's Mayweather was never going to do that. Don't be silly. It is a boxing match, and it has been the biggest story anywhere. The question is, what's a UFC fighter doing in with a professional boxer? Not just a professional boxer, probably the best pound-for-pound fighter maybe who ever lived. Who can win this fight? Can McGregor pull it out? Is Mayweather just going to destroy him? We bring in Pat Miletich, a man who is a Hall of Famer with the UFC, mixed martial artist extraordinaire. He trains champions. He was a champion, and he is an expert in the field. He's also pretty good with the hand on politics. He joins us now. You also, I know you're a commentator to the sport. You follow this stuff rather intensely. When you take a look at this fight, let's start with the first question. Is this a farce, or is this going to be worthwhile?
Well, that's the question, right? Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to find out. Look, anybody's got a puncher's chance. Conor McGregor certainly has the power to hurt a guy that's smaller than him. It's a matter of can he put his hands on him and do the damage with Mayweather, who's 26 world champions haven't been able to hurt him and beat him. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Conor. He's got an uphill battle, definitely.
Now, part of this is about fighting style. Certainly, you're talking about going up against a professional boxer. That's much different than the boxing game or the stand-up game as they discuss in mixed martial arts. Correct?
Sure. Well, most mixed martial artists, at least a lot of them. Conor's a little different. He's boxed more than quite a few MMA guys, and I had the luxury of having a lot of great boxers to spar with also. But a lot of MMA guys are used to a different safety zone because of the length of the legs. So that comfort zone of being able to stand in the pocket and trade without the that gravitational pull of wanting to grab somebody and throw them down when you're that close. It can be a hindrance at times. And also the fact that mixed martial artists don't throw long, extended combos a lot of times because, they've got to have a good base and not get overextended and get taken down.
And we've been, I've been going over and trying to explain to people that, if you're in a mixed martial artist, if you're in the MMA game, the shots that you're throwing, the strikes that you're throwing, the punches are to set up that next move, whether it's a takedown, whether it's grabbing for a leg, whether it's a move towards a submission. It's got to be rather frustrating for a guy who is normally thinking that way, trained that way. So much of that is muscle memory. First, you're going to take punches for a full minute, and then you still have to take punches to the head for another 2 minutes. It's one of the reasons I give Mayweather the tilt. I tilt in his favor in this fight, and the other one is the fighting style. Floyd Mayweather, he's a counterpuncher. That is much different than anything I think McGregor deals with in the ring, and he's a guy who's going to want to press the action, right? He's a guy who's going to come directly at Mayweather and try and go power hard, isn't he?
Well, I think for the main reason is anybody that's a boxing or combat aficionado understands that Mayweather takes about 3 to 4 rounds to figure somebody out. Once he gets them figured out, they got nothing left. So McGregor, in my mind, has to come out hard because of that and try and hurt him early on. After that, then he's got to turn it into a gravity event, which brings in anaerobic conditioning, where boxing is an aerobic event unless you can put your hands on them, pull down on their head a lot, push down on their arms to wear out their delts, their punching muscles, block a leg, push with your head on the sternum, off balance them, just rough them up so that Mayweather gets tired. So there's boxing is not a gravity event. It's an impact sport. I don't call it a contact sport. I call it an impact sport because there's heavy impact. But it's not a gravity event like a wrestling match where somebody's constantly trying to pull you to the ground, which is what Conor's going to have to do. He's going to have to take warning after warning, in my mind, to wear Mayweather out to the point where he can hurt him if he doesn't get him out in the first 4 rounds with just a bunch of barrages.
Talking to MMA commentator and a man who helped define the sport, Pat Miletich. There's one other interesting thing going on with this fight, which is the Vegas book. And for whatever reason, people are betting on McGregor to win hard. And Vegas is worried that if McGregor wins, the payout is going to destroy them.
Hey, here's the craziest thing. Look, I've got a dear friend who's in hospice right now. He's one of the most wonderful guys I've ever met. He's a pastor. And I went to visit him before I left for Vegas. I wanted to say hi to him, and I'm praying that he's around after this fight so I can go back and see him again. But one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met. And he said to me, he goes, Pat, and now remember, this is a godly dude. I mean, he is as close to God as anybody I've ever met. And he goes, I got to be honest with you. He goes, I had a vision. McGregor knocks him out in the second round. And I said, are you serious? He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm not telling you to bet. I don't approve of that. But so I thought, if I throw $100 down on McGregor in the second round, that's 1,400 to 1 odds, I believe it is. Something crazy like that. It may have changed. But how much is that if I bet a C-note, Tony?
That's, well, I think for you, that's a mortgage payment. I know you live high, man. I know you live high. Let me get into the politics, by the way. And by the way, when your pastor's telling you to pick a guy, just do it. Listen, I'm Jewish and I don't mess with that. A priest walks up to me and says, Tony, McGregor, second round, bank it. I'm betting. That's how that's going. I wanted to ask you a political question because the people who follow you on Twitter at Pat Miletich and Facebook, they know that you're a politics guy, and we have seen the smackdown on President Trump over the past week and a half over Charlottesville, over the comments that he made that Saturday, the Monday, the Tuesday press conference. You're a middle of the country guy like us. You're in Iowa. What are people telling you? What are you hearing? And what do you think about this reaction to Trump's comments? You think it's fair? You think it's a little overboard? Do you think it's insane?
Look, they went from, I mean, the guy speaks, the guy just says stuff, okay? He says stuff. He doesn't, sure, he's not tactful all the time. He says some rather dumb things. I'll be honest with you. I don't agree with everything he does. I'm a Rand Paul guy, you know that. But, for a long time, even before he was the GOP nominee, there was the Russian hack. And now we've got very strong evidence that it was an inside job. The Russia screams went on. Then they switched over to target Trump. They would have targeted any GOP guy with that stuff. Now that's out of gas, falling flat on its face, as I knew it would. And now we've got this fabricated demonstration where people are bussed in. Look, people that call alt-left and alt-left are, when we look at Antifa, that started with communism, right? Those people are communists. And the people on the Nazi side are socialists. So you can't call either side alt-right for certain. And I think both of them go in. So they're both, I guess, to sum it up, the alt-left and alt-right that they're titled are fighting for the same thing, disruption and turn the country upside down. When I walk down the street in a different city every week, Tony, I don't see that stuff going on. I see people of all colors, races, religions getting along, trying to pay their bills and take care of their kids.
We were talking about that just earlier. Literally that exact conversation, that's what it is. I mean, you watch cable news and your head will explode. Pat, before I let you go, are you broadcasting this weekend? Will you be calling this match? This fight?
I will be part of the weigh-in show, and I will be a small part of the pre-fight show. And if McGregor wins, I'm guessing they're probably going to call me back from the bar and ask me to get back on air.
Call it. Who wins this thing, McGregor or Mayweather?
Any fight that I'm associated with, I won't. I never make predictions. I don't. But if I win a bet, I'll let you know.
All right, I appreciate that. Hey, the best to your friend there, Pat Miletich, UFC Hall of Famer at Pat Miletich, Miletich on Twitter. I appreciate you. I'm Tony Katz.